thank you so much for joining us. My name is Bianca Washington Chuggin, and we are here with Queer Theater Kalamazoo with Hazel James, talking about who queer theater is and also to how we can be able to support each other in the community. And Hazel, I'm just going to go ahead and go on into our next conversation here, because it's definitely, with all the conversations we've had today, this is also too a very important one. Do you think here in Kalamazoo there is enough support and partnership amongst the theater community?
I guess right off the bat, I don't think there's enough, no. You know, we have theaters like Queer Theater and Face Off Theater Company who specialize in telling these stories of marginalized communities. And that's not just a great resource to the community as a whole and to like the queer community or the Black community, but really to other organizations as well, right? Like we have the people and expertise and the knowledge and the insight into these communities to be able to offer these resources to other theaters in the city. And it just doesn't happen that often, which I think is unfortunate. Because, you know, I don't envision a world in which QTK is the only organization that's allowed to do queer shows, right? That would be terrible.
Right.
What would be better is if every other theater company had a really diverse program. Yes. And then they were able to seek out the resources they need to make sure that they can tell these stories with the nuance and the authenticity that they frankly deserve.
Absolutely. And hire in, right? I mean, you bring and hire in, like you said, some representation of those communities, so that that selection of the season and you know, that kind of work can really be represented, you know, well. And I think as a theater artist myself and a director and actress, it's really hard, and having a theater company, we kind of get siloed, I feel. I mean, there's a lot of work that we're having to do backstage, from the forefront, you know, on every angle. And when we talk about support and how theater companies can help support each other, it's a difficult one. I think also too, it starts with making sure that we're in the room or over the camera or wherever now what we're going to be with this, you know, pandemic, but we're talking to each other, we're having those conversations. And I think there's definitely been some attempts of that, but I think we really have a lot to push towards. And I think this has been a really interesting time for all of us to kind of sit back and say, yeah, we might thought we were supporting each other, but we really need to reframe this. So it's just good to hear and just put out there that, you know, we have some more work to do in that area.
And partnerships are not the end all be all of the work, right? There are questions that I need to ask on behalf of my organization. Miller needs to ask on behalf of theirs. You know, who are you hiring to work on the production? Who's funding your organization, and what do they stand for? Absolutely. You know, are you seeking input from the communities that you're trying to represent? That's a huge one. You know, it doesn't even need to be like, hey, we are co-producing this production. It can just be, hey, can we have a conversation about what we're thinking and get some feedback from people in the community? You know, does your staff and board reflect the diversity of your programming in your community, right? These are all important questions to ask as we move forward. I think, I don't want to sound too harsh, I love the theater community here. There's a lot to love about it. But as with every other community and industry, we can and we have to do better. We need to hold ourselves accountable and let ourselves be held accountable without, you know, taking offense at that.
Yes, and I tell you, we could continue that conversation too, but this is, as again, this conversation doesn't stop here. So thank you so much, Hazel, for your insight, and everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. We're gonna just wrap up with one more discussion with Hazel from Queer Theater Kalamazoo. So please stay tuned.